Hi, my name is Caroline Poland, and I am the founder and CEO of Poland and Associates Consulting. Today, I want to talk a little bit about something within our thinking patterns that can really impact our overall experience within the world, that can impact how we engage at work and learning and in our relationships, just processing information and data as a whole. And that's the idea of all or nothing thinking and challenging that to a more shades of gray balanced approach. So I think we often feel like if we use a word like always or never, or I have to either be this way all of the time or none of the time, or things like that, it feels easier to navigate life. It feels simpler in our minds. And yet, things are rarely always or never. Things are rarely true where we're perfect all the time or we're a failure all of the time. And so the structure that we've put in place in our minds to help make decision making easier or navigating the world easier actually becomes more difficult, because what we do is we chunk away all of the middle and we're chunking away reality. And so we begin to distort reality because we have to remove all of the reality between the two extremes that we're trying to do. So people are either all good or all bad, but when people are a mix of things that we can respect and a mix of things that feel like we can't respect, then that can feel kind of difficult to navigate, as an example. Or when we are learning something and we are doing a good job with this thing and struggling with this thing, it's easy to feel like we're a failure at learning the thing and we want to give up, instead of saying, well, I'm doing a good job on this hand and I'm struggling on this hand, and being able to hold both together. And so my challenge for you today is to try to challenge yourself out of the all or nothing thinking and towards the shades of gray thinking, where we can really hold both and instead of either or. And things are rarely all or nothing, and most often they are both and. And that's hard. We actually really don't fully develop the ability to do that until we're 25, when our brain fully stops developing. And then it takes intentional work in order to develop that. So it's hard and it's clunky as we begin to develop that. And yet, because the reality is that things are most often both and not either or, it does take practice to get there, but it's crucial that we do, because it allows us to get a realistic picture of ourselves. It allows us to get a realistic picture of someone else, where we don't have to make them all good or all bad, where we don't have to be a pure success because we're perfect or a failure. We can actually work within that. Things can be both and not either or. And so we can begin to, again, widen that window of tolerance because of our ability to hold things that feel like they're opposite as true. So this all or nothing thinking, where it has to be either or instead of both and, actually pushes us towards hyperarousal or hypoarousal, because that window of tolerance involves all of those shades of gray. It involves the both ands that can feel kind of complicated and messy. And yet, if we can hold both of those things together, we can actually stay within that window of tolerance and actually widen that window of tolerance. Holding the both and instead of either or then can help us to navigate some of those experiences of anxiety or depression or shame. And so it serves as a way of helping to regulate our emotions, and it helps keep us out of some of those perceptions of a threat. So perceptions of a threat can really come from this idea that things have to be either this way or this way. But because that is more often than not true, we begin to experience more threat than there actually is in certain situations. So bringing us back to that ability to hold the both and allows us to view things realistically, and some of those things that we might perceive as a threat suddenly no longer seem like a threat anymore. So how does this ability to hold the both and apply to some of the conversations that we've had on compassion fatigue and burnout and secondary traumatic stress? You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Poland and Associates, and my website, polandandassociates.com. And make sure that you subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss out on future videos.